All right, my friend, welcome to, frankly, the best perspective on everything me. The best. It's not always what you want to hear, but it's the best. Do you want the truth or do you want to be happy? The truth looks good today. Looks very good today. Let's keep in mind our time frames here. This is very, very critical. Keep in mind I don't care what people say, but keep in mind what we are talking about here. Theoretically, as we speak, until the actual election day, there are 103 days. Very, very critical. There are, as we speak, 25 days until the convention. And here's something which is really interesting. Think about this particular piece of time frame. There are 178 days until the inauguration in 2025. So that means that if Biden pretends that he is able to survive, keep in mind there's just no way. He is going to step down. I don't know when. I don't know if they know when. I don't know if he knows when. I don't understand. It's going to happen. I'm not a great prognosticator. I'm not waxing vatic. What I am saying is very simply this, and this is important. He can't do it. He can't. It's not like, well, I wonder what the polls say. No. He can't. He can't. Let's just make sure we understand this, because I'm watching this stuff and I'm thinking, do they know? And today I'm going to be very brutal, okay? Kind of what I am normally, but I'm going to tell you what I'm saying. I don't know what these people are talking about. And I'm going to speak today in no particular order as the thoughts hit me. And I'm going to tell you things the way they are. You may not like them. Like I said, you may not care for them, but it's the way they are. And I don't know why you wouldn't care for them, because I think it's good news. What I have found out, very interestingly, what I have found out is that there are some people who, for reasons I don't understand, they really like to hear just good news, and they don't want to hear bad. They want to hear how great everything is. They just want to hear how bad Kamala Harris is, and that there's no reason to worry because the House passed a resolution which denounced her as a bad border czar. And they think that means something. And they are reporting this like, aha. I'm thinking, aha. What does that mean? Well, does it mean anything? What are you talking about? Well, it's something. Not really. It doesn't mean anything. So here's what I'm trying to say. Relax. Take it easy. I heard, and I'm going to call it the way it is. I used to like, and I think many things. See, some of the people who comment, and this is important because for you to kind of grasp this, some of the people who comment are really good. They say some things, and I know you like them. But then I realize sometimes they're just complete and total hacks. They don't really get the level. Let me give you an example of something. This may surprise you, but I'm going to tell you this. I heard as much as I could take of a brief conversation between James Woods, the actor, and Megyn Kelly about Israel. It was like listening to children talk. They have literally no idea what's going on. None. When it comes to what's happening in Israel, what's going on there, not to mention the protests, it is absolutely a waste of time. We're going to be talking about that. But it's interesting to note, because the enemy of my enemy works this way. Next, one of the most fascinating pieces ever. There has been, and I think Breitbart did it, and there is going to be there is going to be a war between the Hollywood elites and big tech guys, the big tech bros. Let me give you this one article. This is a great one. This Breitbart sometimes is like, it's okay. Look at this Breitbart. House passes resolution condemning Kamala. Failure as border czar. They really, honestly, truly think that somehow there's this, I don't know what the word is, but they really think there is this big deal that it means something. I don't know where I've got to find this. You've got to find, I'll look for it. It's one of the best ones. I just had it. I tried to comment, and sometimes I'll tweet something and I realize, nah, and then I'll pull them thinking, no, they're not going to understand. I've been through this so many times. I'm thinking, no. Let me give you an example. Okay. Okay. Look, let's assume this is my favorite. This is the issue. Okay. This issue is called Big Tech versus Hollywood. Big Tech versus Hollywood. Silicon Valley versus Rob Reiner. Elon Musk versus George Clooney. You get this? Are you following this? This is really going to be interesting because when we get done with this, there is going to be a reconfiguration of enemies and friends. This might be, and I'm going to keep repeating this until you are 100% conversant with this, because I think this is the most interesting. And it goes even beyond it goes beyond just Kamala. This, I'm trying to figure it out. If you slice this up, the last time when it was Joe Biden, it was a different story. This Kamala Harris doesn't stand for anything. Kamala Harris is like do you remember when you were a kid, you would have these little toys and you would push the bottom and they would kind of, and then you let go and they pop up again. That's Kamala Harris. She's like a sock puppet. You don't know whose hand is in it. She's just there. She's like that cold air balloon. Do you ever go to a tire store on the weekends, or you get your oil changed and they have that skinny thing with the air, and that's Kamala Harris. There is no Kamala Harris. She does not exist. The Democrats think that this black female, whatever this model is, they believe that is going to take her into the next stratosphere. This is how demented these people are. And this is what, and Obama realizes that doesn't work anymore. So he's reluctant. He's waiting until he's not in charge. Obama is not in charge. Obama has just said to the world, I'm not in charge. And the reason why he's not in charge is because why would he not endorse her now when they've already picked her? Let me say this again. Hey, Barry, you've been made a fool of. They've already picked her. They've already selected her. You mean nothing to this. You can wait until next year. You can endorse her after the election. It doesn't matter. They've already picked her. You have no power. He doesn't like her. Follow me on this one. He wouldn't mind if she loses so that they respect him. Do you follow what I'm saying? Don't be surprised if Barry figures, I don't give a damn who wins. I do great no matter what. And if they're not going to listen to me, then I want them to lose. Just Me says Kamala sounds exactly like Sister Mary Elephant, the old Cheech and Chong routine. LMAO. Indeed, sir. And believe me, you haven't even heard her. She's waiting. So, and thank you, by the way. So understand, do you get this? Put this little sticker, this little post-it note on the wall here. See how many we have at the end. All right. Number one, the Democratic Party is already fighting because, let me say this again, Barack Obama has had no impact in this. He doesn't even like her, and she's the nominee. How do you like that? What does that tell you? It's a new everything. Because the rules have changed. This is my other, I forget my other, this is my other Trump hat. I'll be back. I like my one. The rules have changed. 2020 has nothing to do with this. That was Biden. This new iteration of capital of big tech, hang on. This is the best article there is. This. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, by the by, whenever you I'm trying to get this. Whenever you hear the word ecosystem, you know it's some nudge writing an article just to make things work. So let me go back. Rule number one, Barry Obama is pissed off like you can't believe because nobody consulted with him, nobody asked him, nobody cares. It's over. You got it? Okay, good. Next, big tech, Silicon Valley, unearned capital gains. This is huge in terms of all the billionaires, unrealized, I should say, capital gains. This is the part which is absolutely, this is huge in the world of the gazillionaires. Democrats want to tax this. Democrats want to tax this. I can't say it enough. They also hate the fact that this new iteration, what their position is regarding crypto. I know this sounds crazy. I know you're thinking you're going to laugh at this. The windsock, the Kamala, she's not a fan of crypto. She wants his unrealized capital gains. They're saying this is a disaster for us. Now they have pitted. Remember, in the old days, they were for Biden because Biden was smart enough to understand how this works. Now you've got the Winklevoss twins, you've got Elon Musk, you've got Peter Thiel, you've got JD Vance, you've got all these folks, and Elon Musk, whether he pumps in 64 million a month, it doesn't matter. This is going to be a war. Okay? This is going to be a war. And these folks, for the longest time, now listen to me carefully and listen good. People like Rob Reiner, Bette Midler, George Clooney, De Niro, The View, all these folks, they think and have thought for the longest times that, hang on. This is one piece which is so, oh God. Remember, the tech bros are Hollywood's latest supervillains. This was a while back. Even in the themes, even in these movies, I'm trying to find this piece. Let me go back to what I'm saying. Please forgive me because my head is splitting right now. There's so many things I want to tell you at the same time, but let me see if I can tell you this. Rob Reiner carries no weight whatsoever. Rob Reiner, and I'll start with him. Rob Reiner means nothing. Rob Reiner plays absolutely no role in anything. Rob Reiner is living in a world where they still think they matter. They honestly, truly believe that they matter. And whenever they were the ones, who was it? The story is that when George Clooney, this is the part that just infuriated me. George Clooney thinks that his article or his piece, George Clooney thinks, really believes that that meant anything? George Clooney believes this? I think he really does. I think George Clooney thinks, and by the way, he was told what to do. He was told. He had nothing to do with anything. He was told what to do. George Clooney on his own did not sit back and say one day, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to, no. It doesn't work that much. Now, you're going to be seeing these battles. Next, I'm going to try my best to sort through this one. There is something that is happening. There is something that is happening. And I don't know how to explain this to people, but it is what America feels about Israel. It is the most complicated thing you've ever seen in your life. It is the most complicated issue of them all. It is this tsunami that is coming. It is a story. It is an idea. It is something, an issue that plays no role whatsoever in the day-to-day process of Americans. None. They couldn't tell you the first thing about it. They don't understand it. They don't understand the left. They don't understand Democrats. They don't understand what's the beef. They don't understand the politics of Israel and how there are protests constantly against Netanyahu. Netanyahu comes to the United States to get the royal treatment. He doesn't get this in his own country. He gets it here. This shocks people. What? He is this close to an indictment in Israel. Now, I'm telling you this, I'm not arguing one way or another. I'm telling you the reality of this. There is a reality that is going on here. And there is a movement around the world. For the first time, you've got two major investigations, ICC and ICJ, criminal court and criminal justice, who have basically charged Israel with apartheid and also now seek arrest warrants against Netanyahu. Now, when you hear that, you see people like Rashida Tlaib holding a sign that says war criminal. And you think, well, because she's an idiot, that there's nothing to it, that it's just kind of stupid. All right. So you put that aside because you see Rashida Tlaib and you think AOC. So it must be stupid because AOC is stupid. And Ilhan Omar, who has been AWOL, I don't know what they got on her. She's over here too. And they have hers. So Americans think, wait a minute. Now, the trope that Netanyahu and others are saying is that the people that are responsible, now think about this, the people that are responsible for the protests in Washington, for the destruction of property, for the destruction of monuments, for the defacement and the criminal mischief and the vandalism and the burning of American flags by Palestinians, Netanyahu's saying this is Iran. Iran is doing that. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Ask yourself that question. Does that make sense to you? If you were Iran, would you say do that? Make sure you send our Antifa segments. Make sure we push this. Not protest, but the destruction of property. Does that make sense to you? Make sure you go, American, whatever. Make sure you go and you immediately make such a ruckus that everybody seeing this will immediately turn and support Israel by virtue of what you're seeing now. All right, this is Iran saying, go to Washington, Union Station, climb up poles, remove the Palestinian flag, American flag, put up the Palestinian and burn the American flags. And people who try to put out fires, beat them up, including police. By the way, interestingly enough, they were released. Nobody was charged with January 6th. So do this so that America will hate the Palestinian movement and will embrace Israel. Do that. Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you? Would you do that? If it does, if Iran does that, they're idiots and they deserve to lose or whatever else. Now, personally speaking, I have never understood this penchant, this focused attention on Iran. Never understood it. I don't want to go there. I don't want to travel. I don't like their morality police. I don't like what Ahmadinejad did. I don't like what they did to Gates. I don't like any of that stuff. And if you think that their treatment of gay people is bad, you should hear what they say in African countries. Dear God, I don't know how to break this to you. And if you want to hear this pink washing and all this is the most complicated issue there is. But I want you to answer me this one question. Does this make sense to you? If you wanted to go and have people, Iran hates Israel, Israel hates Iran, okay? Let's agree to that. If you wanted to make America absolutely feel for Iran or feel for pro-Palestinians, what would you do? You would have solemn, respectable, or you would encourage, maybe you wouldn't have any say, but you would have solemn, respectable marches, holding up pictures of children, you would make America say, oh my God, I didn't know that. Look how nice these people. But no, maybe Americans just aren't. Maybe by virtue of this TikTok world we live in, they can't do this. But it makes no sense to me to think that the people who are actually protesting this are necessarily, some certainly are without a doubt, but that these are dupes of Iran, that the Palestinian movement exists as some kind of a proxy for Iran. If you think that, and I couldn't take it, 30 seconds of James Woods and Megyn Kelly, I thought, oh my God, these are children. They just don't get it. They just don't get it. This is one of these things you've got to be able to see. Here's the issue. Look at it like this. Look up here. Look to the left. Okay, I see it from this side. I see it from this side. I see it from this side. I can cut it down the middle. Oh, I see. We're beyond that. We're beyond that. Now I'm going to make it even more complicated. I'm going to take this thing called Israel, and I'm going to ask you, which side does Israel want to win? Trump or Kamala Harris? KN says a thought. Trump to add dementia Alzheimer's cure as a campaign item with Ben Carson to be its czar. Town and country Tampa. Excellent. That's good. I'm the only one who likes Ben Carson. By the way, speaking of Ben Carson, did you see today it is reported that in the world of Spotify that Tucker Carlson has overtaken Joe Rogan as the #1 biggest podcaster in the world. Have you seen that one? Have you seen that? Okay. Have you heard some new video and new information as to the 11th day of the 9th month, 23 years ago? That means nothing will come of that, but it's interesting. People are saying, oh, nothing will come of that. I've been through that. But let's look at this. Let's go back to Israel. Let me ask you this question. Does Israel want Trump or Kamala Harris to win? Simple, right? This is simple. Good. Now, with that in mind, do you think that Israel and their intelligence agencies, which say what you want, and don't let that October 7th business fool you. Don't let that fool you for a moment. I don't understand how that happened. I don't know what they were doing or what they were thinking. Believe me, I'm with you on that. There is so much about that day that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. But I digress. Do you think, dear friend, do you think that over the course of time, do you think, dear friend, do you think that Israel might have been able to, by virtue of the information that it has garnered, the information that it has obtained, the information that it has enjoyed, the information, do you believe that the information that it has been able to gather, that it is able to perhaps use it beneficially to help President Trump? Yes or no? Let me try this again. Now listen to me carefully. Do you believe that they would say, not that they are actively working with or coordinating with Trump, but do you think, whether it's Mossad, whether it's Shin Bet, whether it's Amman, which is really, this is the one that they forgot, this is their military intelligence, and I think most of us respect the notion of intel agencies around the world, from Five Eyes to MI6 to CIA. Do you think they have any ability whatsoever to perhaps say, we have so much information that might be of beneficial to you, not directly, but perhaps others? Do you think that there might be, by virtue of, I don't know what it is, the collection of data and recordings and testimony and hard drives that have yet to be accounted for, that some, if made available, could change a lot of things? Open support. Remember, there's two ways I can win. I can get you to come to my side, or I can get you not to oppose me. Which one do you want? To either throw the fight. Do you know what's going on here? Do you find it at all odd? Do you find it at all odd that Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi Netanyahu, had more Secret Service and more security protection than President Trump? Does that make any sense to you? Now, I'm going to say something right now. And this is one of those things that I have friends of mine I just don't talk to, because they have such vehemence, either for or against Israel, or for or against. To them, Palestine is Hamas. Hamas is Palestine. Israel is genocide. I just don't even bother. I don't even bother. I am an American citizen, sworn to follow our Constitution. I don't care. When I say this lovingly and with all due respect. I don't care what happens in Israel. It's not. I mean, I want there to be peace. I want there to be peace and love and all that stuff. But I am not going to advocate anything involving warfare, the killing of anybody. I cannot stand the notion of children in particular and the slaughter that is going on there. I'm sorry. This is same thing with Ukraine. I'm an American citizen. If we have time later on to send stuff, great. But what I want you to do is I want you to step back. And when you're playing chess, ask yourself, how does this work? What is the purpose of Bibi Netanyahu coming to the United States? What leverage is there other than what? The the Israeli lobby? Notice I don't call it the Jewish lobby. What do they get? Ask yourself, why now? During this important and critical point. I promise you, Megyn Kelly and James Woods would not even be close to even scratching the surface. Because what happens is there are people who, in order to prove their conservative bona fides, to make sure they get their CPAC invitation to go on Fox News, you must have an absolute blind and total obeisance to anything that BB says. You're supposed to say, no problem. Same thing with Zelensky. Maybe not so much now, but there was a time when whatever they did, you had to show this absolute. One of the articles of faith was that you had to show this anti-Russian, this Russophobic lunacy. This is something which I can't put this even into perspective. I can't even tell you again how this is. Okay, so that's that. Ask yourself, what does this mean? The last thing in the world Israel wants is a Kamala Harris administration. What will they do? What can they do? Think about it. With their incredible influence, and stop pretending they don't have influence. Stop pretending that the oil lobby, the gun lobby, the climate lobby, stop it. Stop tiptoeing around this. Be an adult, grow a pair, and tell me the truth. Do you think they have absolute anything? Do you think they have any interest whatsoever and could be of assistance one way or the other? What could they possibly do? And I'm not talking about anything nefarious or war, but that, okay, so put that over here. Throw that into the mix. Because what you have here is very interesting. You've got now I'm not ever going to suggest. In the old days, people used to get really upset when you ever made any kind of a connection. If you were to say, or make the usual tropes, the memes that Israel or Jews were involved in banking or entertainment, somehow you were considered an anti-Semite of the worst stripe, and you were just discarded altogether. But let me ask you something. Do you believe there is a significant contingent, or that there is a significant contingent of not Jewish, not Zionist, but just pro-Israel factions in this collective we call Hollywood? Do you or do you not? What about it? What about big tech? I think so. Absolutely. Big tech? Absolutely. Big tech, Silicon Valley, you might as well just say Republican. I'll make it real easy for you. It's switched. It's Trump 100%. Hollywood is this leftist vestige that's into the De Niro's and who was it? We'll get to this in a moment, but Kamala Harris is dealing with RuPaul and drag queens. They still don't get it. So to recap, I hope you're following this because it is so good. I try to listen to one of the most insufferable, horrible pieces, and I love them to death. But there's a thing called Breaking Points with Sagar and Crystal. They're talking about whether Josh Shapiro versus Mark Kelly. And Cooper this is the most boring stuff in the world. Are you kidding me? This is that inside the Beltway DC talk. Are you kidding me? Who cares? Pick somebody. Well, Mark Kelly's okay, fine. Pick Mark Kelly. Who cares? It doesn't matter. This is not the issue. Do you see how this is the real backstory to this? Okay, now listen to what I'm saying. Kamala Harris is a windsock. She is a sock puppet. She doesn't stand for anything. Forget the borders are. Forget the things she said about, and this is space. Forget that. That's just easy. That's easy. That's somebody putting together kind of a Babylon Bee. Okay, it's boring. And it's so boring is that how many of those, be honest with me, have you heard enough of that? What could you possibly hear from Kamala where you would say, now that's unique? What? What moment of stupidity? Please, my friend, I'm asking you. You've heard everything. It doesn't mean anything. You're tired of it. It's boring. Yes, she said that about space. Yes, she said that about the community banks. Yes. Yes, she said that about, they said, well, you were voted the most liberal senator. Well, that's Mike Pence for you. No, it was another organization. Ooh. Stop right there. To the undecided, to the unaffiliated, to the independent, who you're trying to lure over to vote for Trump. What if I told you that let's face it, a rather obscure voting metric voted her or considered her to be the most liberal senator there was? What difference does that make other than to Jake Tapper or somebody at the Republican Club in Maryland? Or does that mean anything to you? Does that mean anything? Do you think the House passing a resolution that says she was a failed borders are you kidding me? Are they passing any legislation to shore up, to control election integrity? No. What about voter rights? Have we solved that issue yet? I don't know. No, that's not what they do. They meet with Bibi and they say, yay. And they make these ridiculous, it's like I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. Now, the next issue, and this is the most important, and I'm going to ask you to do something which you may not be able to do because it's something that many people cannot do this. They cannot do this. I can do it. I always do it, and that's what drives people crazy. I want you to imagine somebody right now who is dead, stuck in the middle, maybe from a swing state, maybe somebody, because remember, I don't care about anybody who has already made their mind up. And you go to Real Clear Politics, you look at all the trends today, if you kind of, average them out, it looks good for Trump now, right now. Okay? Now. Tomorrow could be different. Next week it could be different. Things change drastically. We don't know what he's going to say. They're going after J.D. Vance in a way that is so... I'm going to say something to you. Nobody knows who J.D. Vance is in this country. Nobody cares about J.D. Vance. Nobody's going to care about Mark Kelly and whether she's married to Gabby Giffords. Nobody cares about that. That's what you care about. That's what you care about. It's something that it's so hard for me to explain to people that you have to move away from what you find interesting. I'm not even going to try this. Do you believe we are living in the most historic moments in our time of U.S. and world events? Yes, relative to you. Is this comparable to World War II? No. To the Depression? No. To Vietnam? No. But it has its own unique. We have invisible enemies from within. Our enemies today are internal. It's not. Is Biden the most corrupt president? Compared to Franklin Pierce or Warren Harding or Lyndon Johnson? He's the most obvious. He's the most stupid. He doesn't even care. See, that's the part that kills me. People don't know anything about history. So everything started now. I mean, these are the same people who use the word literally every 5 seconds. They don't understand. There's no frame of reference other than, so if you think this is the most terrible, okay. Who cares? If there are people sometimes who die from diseases which are not considered to be the most prevalent, the most virulent, but the person's dead. So if something kills you, it doesn't matter what it is. If it doesn't really matter. I'm telling you right now that we are at a crossroads. You're about to see the Democratic Party. See, I want to see the Democratic Party crushed. And I told you before, having Barack Obama pissed off is so important. That's number one. Fomenting and then causing a fracture within it by taking the Bernie Bros and AOC and others by saying, this is not you have a joke here. This woman cannot be trusted. She will say everything and nothing. Joe Biden had more substance. He understood. For 50 years, he knew. Joe Biden was probably more conservative than most of you. Joe Biden reluctantly, I wouldn't be surprised if they had stuff off of Hunter's laptop that would have gotten him 25 years in the penitentiary, and he had to say, okay, whatever, plus his own particular greed. Kamala Harris right now, and this is what I'm leading up to, is going forth. Kamala Harris, how do you think she is going to do when she says, how do you think Kamala Harris, when she talks about, and this is important, when she talks about drag queens launch a drag pack, and you see her more and more associated with, how do I say this, with that particular faction. How do you think, by going on RuPaul, I would have told her, this is going to destroy you. We want you to get away from that. Leave that. Get away from that. Get away from that. I don't want you to be a part of George Floyd, BLM, Antifa, drag queen. No, we're going towards the middle. Gracie Loves George says, did you see her statement condemning yesterday's protester behaviors? Over 20,000 unkind comments in less than an hour. She literally will do herself in. She doesn't. The thing is, Gracie, and I thank you, she is a sail, and the wind propels her. The sail doesn't know what it's doing. It's just there. She propels herself. Doesn't mean anything. What does she stand for? Nobody. There is no undecided, independent person or voter, left or right or whatever, from a swing state in particular, who likes this leftist weird stuff. Nobody likes this. They sold their soul to this crazy faction. And I don't understand. It's going to explode in her face. So let me go back to what I'm saying. If they are so afraid of Minnesota, if they say Democrats cannot be trusted, if they put out the dog whistle, don't vote, no Democrat, if this spreads, non-committal, don't vote, you have no idea what's going to happen. People still don't understand how important and how critical this Israel vote is. I'm reacting by what I'm seeing. I'm going to say for the umpteenth time, I'm not acting as an American citizen. I'm acting as somebody who's commenting and analyzing the election. Period. I know when I'm right. I know that the average American does not even understand what NATO means, has no clue, does not understand, can understand something very, very simple. There's this Putin, they did such a wonderful job with this Russophilic, Kremlin baiting, Russophile image of him as being this scowling, dangerous, very simple. People say, oh, okay. Okay. And when it comes to Israel and Palestine, the left and right media, there's this blood-brain barrier. You've never seen anything. I guarantee you. I was with a friend the other day, and I know there are some Twitter sites. There's some stuff on Twitter that, I mean, there's no warnings or anything. I said, let me show you something. What do you think about what's going on in Palestine? Well, Israel has a right to protect itself against Hamas. I said, I think you're right. I think that makes sense. I said, by the way, did you see this? And I showed him it. And of course, when you go to certain sites, you just turn to, he goes, I can't watch it. I said, no, this is what's going on. This is what's happening. Did you know anything about this? No. I said, well, what did you think was going on? He said, I don't know. What did you think? What were these Palestinians talking about? Well, I'm not really sure what they were talking about. You're not sure what they were talking about? Well, look, all I knew was they had protests on campuses, and that crazy Claudine Gay with that Urkel with the funny glasses, and these lefties, and they are I don't know. And I realized, oh my God, wow. And that was at the behest of the media that keeps this out. It's the most incredible thing in the world. Calypso Kins, thank you. They're very upset now with these references that are being made about, and I'm going to be very careful here when I say this, these references as to Kamala Harris's prior life, her own private life when she was 30 years old, her Willie Brown connection, how she may have benefited by virtue of her positions, and how, blah, 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 blah. Okay. People are saying, how dare you? This has nothing to do with anything. How dare you? And J.D. Vance calls her, oh, have you heard this thing? She's this old cat lady who doesn't know anything about kids. She doesn't know anything. And today they showed pictures of her, of, how do I say this? They showed her stepdaughter, the kind of, the one with the tats, whatever, in Brooklyn, Doug's daughter. And I guess she gets Secret Service protection. Anyway, people are saying, hey, this has absolutely no business whatsoever. Don't bring this up anymore. Don't bring. Well, wait a minute. Wait. You brought up every conceivable thing there was about President Trump. Everything there was involving that little dalliance, alleged dalliance with Dusty Saddles or Stormy Waters or whatever her name was, including his particular endowment, what they did, what particular style of introitus they used, things that were said, what Melania, was she pregnant then? McDougal. I mean, there wasn't anything that anybody couldn't say that the left and this shadow government media just did not eat up. Now, if you say, well, let's talk about Kamala. Oh, wait a minute. You're shaming her. This is off base. Wait a minute. Why was it okay for Trump? It was okay for Trump because that was Trump. And believe me, what I'm telling you is simply this. And listen to me And remember something. Do you know how to tell a submission hold? If you're wrestling somebody, do you know how to tell? It's very simple. If they're yelling, it's a submission hold. Or if they just pass out. If all of a sudden they're screaming stop and they give up, whatever you were doing with your knee or your elbow, whatever pressure you were putting, that was effective because they were screaming, stop it. It hurts. You don't take flack until you're over the target. Watch what they do. They don't want to hear borders are, call her borders are. They don't want to hear that she's a liberal, call her liberal. They don't want to hear about, and I'm not going to be too specific about references as to her particular experimental dalliances. Mention that. Whatever it is that makes these people lose their mind, go for it. They're telegraphing it to you. They're telling you specifically what it is that drives them crazy. They're telling you this. They're screaming. They don't want you to know this. They don't want to see pictures of her with Montel. Anybody think people who it's not the picture of Montel. It's the fact that she was with another girl, and it looks like she was like one of the arm candy ditzy babes who were kind of hanging around. That's the issue, not Montel. Nobody knows who Montel Williams is today. Come on. Brizin Himura says California Newsom today just got rid of all the homeless encampments. Though the state does through the state, does that have anything to do with him trying to be VP or Kamala? Well, he had to do it because it was ordered, for one thing. Gavin Newsom wants nothing to do. Maybe cabinet position, maybe, because he is termed out. But he wants absolutely nothing. Nobody is embracing, nobody feels good about the Kamala Harris bandwagon. Let me say this again. Nobody is feeling good about this. Nobody. They're going to kid you all. You're going to be hearing about money making, absolute record breaking money. That the $50 billion. You're going to hear about David Letterman. You're going to hear everybody, every agency from, remember, Hollywood, the entertainment sphere. And don't forget what Breitbart said before they whacked him. He said that politics is downstream from entertainment. So they're going to say, look how great we are. But look at me when I tell you this. Look at me. Nobody wants this. Nobody's happy with Kamala. Nobody. Do you know what the number one thought that is going right now in the Republican Party is? How in the hell did this happen? Who let this happen? How did we get here? What did you think you would? Who was it who picked? It was like when George Herbert Walker picked Dan Quayle. What was that about? Had something happened where George Herbert Walker Bush 41 or whatever got into trouble, it would have been Dan Quayle, but luckily they skirted that. Sarah Palin. How did the Republicans ever look at that ditz and say Sarah Palin? How did that happen? How does this work? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Who was it who ever looked at Kamala Harris and said, this woman who couldn't pull 2%, who couldn't say anything then? She was an idiot. They knew everything about her. Who was it especially with an older guy who was acting nuts since 2017? How does this happen? I don't know. As we speak, Barack Obama is saying to these people, are you out of your mind? You didn't check with me? Is this a coup against me? Is this it? And also, you have this new group of people, okay? You have a brand new group of people. Let me tell you, you've got these folks who are in the world of Silicon Valley, and they are absolutely going to just, oh my God, wait until you see. You're going to be hearing about Reid Hoffman bundles millions for Kamala. With the demand to fire FTC trust busters. You're going to see TikTok. Here we go. Here is the one. I want you to read this one. This is the best Breitbart article I have read. And let me give this to you right now. And let's read this together, shall we? This is a great one. This is the best one. Listen to me very carefully. It says, 4 years ago, Hollywood and Silicon, by the way, Silicon, not Silicon, Hollywood and Silicon Valley were united in the mission to stop then President Donald Trump's reelection at all costs. But now, as more tech bros have publicly declared their support for Trump, the already uneasy relationship between California's two largest industries, political fundraising, bonanzas both, has become bitter and nasty. From Elon Musk to David Sachs to the Winklevoss twins, tech bros are jumping on the Trump train in response to the Biden-Harris administration's many ruinous policies, particularly its penchant for excessive regulation and plans to introduce a tax on unrealized capital gains, which would hammer the wealthy and sap innovation. Even Facebook's Mark Zuckerberg, who interfered in the 2020 election, remember this on behalf of Joe Biden, recently called Trump a badass for surviving the recent assassination attempt. And I said assassination attempt, Ray notwithstanding. It wasn't shards from a teleprompter. It was a round from an AR-15. Their political heresy, Breitbart notes, has only further estranged them from Hollywood elites who already deeply resent them for upending the entertainment industry with streaming media. And also, let me throw something in. Do you know what's going to really destroy them? What's the one thing that really scares Hollywood more than anything else? What is it? AI. AI. You have no idea what's going to happen. Who wants this? By the way, if anybody thinks how good AI was, look at Joe Biden's performances, as many suggest. Okay. An unnamed Hollywood executive told The Hollywood Reporter, F these Trump-loving techies. Another unnamed source told the outlet, look, it's no secret that Hollywood has never been very fond of these guys, these tech bros. Quote, nobody relishes the thoughts of these people in bed with the Trump administration. There's a load of money here in Hollywood, as well as a lot of disdain for these tech bros. And I think you'll see people putting up a lot of dough just to teach these dudes they can't buy an election. And the scrutiny comes as more Silicon Valley billionaires pour money into Trump's bid to retake the White House. Don't forget, that's J.D. Vance. Tech venture capitalist Mark Andreessen, and Ben Horowitz have recently committed to donating to America PAC, the pro-Trump super PAC that reportedly was created by Elon Musk. I don't know where that one's going, but that money's still there. In a recent blog post, Andreessen and Horowitz slammed the Biden-Harris administration. Quote, the American government is now more hostile to new startups than it used to be. And they said that regulatory agencies use, quote, brute force investigations, prosecutions, intimidation, and threats to hobble new industries. They also blast Biden-Harris's plan to introduce a tax on unrealized capital gains, which they said would absolutely kill the startup industry. And it goes on and on and on. So this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Remember the Winklevoss brothers. Remember that one? They back Trump now. They're noting that the current Biden administration has been hostile towards cryptocurrency. This is according to what they wrote, quote, over the past few years, the Biden administration has openly declared war against crypto. It has weaponized multiple government agencies to bully, harass, and sue the good actors in our industry in an effort to destroy it. And who is behind crypto is who? Listen to what Jamie Dimon, listen to what the Warren Buffetts and all this. Oh, that's crypto's crap. Really? See, Tech Bros also said they approved of J.D. Vance. And that was incredible. That's what I said the other day. Vance once worked as a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley and whatever. Now, meanwhile, in Hollywood, these elite donors have now dutifully transferred their allegiance to Kamala Harris after not so long ago marching in lockstep for Biden's reelection. They figure, okay, we'll just switch with her. But they don't realize there's nothing there. And they appear to be going nuts over her in the past couple of days. At least that's what they're saying, ever since Biden quit his campaign. And among the fundraising builders who have committed to it are George Clooney, Rob Reiner, Barbara Streisand, Mark Ruffalo, Bette Midler. Oh, please. Do you see where we're going with this? So somebody asked before very correctly, is this some type of, what's the word? Is this the worst times that we've ever seen? No, this is so unbelievably fascinating now. And you've got to know what to look for. You've got to know when Trump's got to hit the gas, when he should back off. I'm going to throw some other variables in there. The first debate. Are you listening to me? Make sure you're listening to me. I want to make sure you're listening to me because I'm spending a lot of my time making sure, because I love this. I've never been more excited. If she blows a debate, if she goes out and she has a debate and she just falls apart, we have a brand new iteration of political observers who now understand what happened when Biden blew his debate. Now they're going to be looking at her and they're going to say, uh-oh. So go back to what I said. Obama's pissed off. You've got Israel. How does Israel work? How does Hollywood negotiate between very strong allegiance to Israel and also the radical lefties who want to have nothing to do with them in the first place? Good luck with that. Good luck with that. George Lenz says Hollywood's activism is destroying itself again. Could very well be. See, Hollywood, you see, George, certain things change. Certain things, how do I say this? You've got to realize how things change. I see it all the time in I've got close allegiance to my friends in radio. These guys are what is his name? Ozuna. What is the name of the Japanese officer who didn't know the war was over? Who actually was, they had to go and relieve him of his duties like 29 years after the war was over. Talk radio they don't get it. Oh, Rush Limbaugh. They actually want to they're pushing legislation to mandate AM radio in cars. May I ask you a question? Have you ever used your car radio? Seriously, I'm not trying to be corny. I have not used a car radio. I guess I have a car radio. It's a Yugo. It's a stretch. But I use my phone and I use apps or whatever it is. If I want to hear an AM radio, I will use an app. I don't necessarily need there's no antenna. Who uses it? I mean, think about this. And maybe you're lucky. Maybe Here in Manhattan, you can't hear any radio. There's nothing. You can't hear anything. You could be next to the transmitter. I don't know why. Maybe the building is over it. Anyway, but the point is, you've got talk radio AM. They're still doing this. They're actually saying we have to pass legislation to stay in business. And they don't understand it. I see the way things are happening, and I don't fight them. I don't fight them. I understand and by the way, there are some things that I think are just absolutely the most stupid things, but it doesn't matter what I think. There's there are people right now in the world of streaming. It's very, very interesting. One of them is personal. How do I say this? There are people who are lonely. There are people who are looking for something spiritual, and they need support, and they need anything roughly involving some kind of spiritual, like when out of the 15 seconds I've listened to Jordan Peterson, I think that's what he's trying to do. So irrespective of what I think, there's a need for that. And people need this because there are people who are lonely. There are people with anxiety. There are people who don't fit in. There are people who are very, very sad, and they're in need of something. And if you misunderestimated, somebody one time said, you missed the point. Doesn't matter what I think. That's what they think. That's what's happening. So right now we're having this thing right now. We have this unique position. And if I went down and I said to you, what do you think is going to be the most important factor in getting people to vote, or excuse me, getting people to vote people who would not have voted anyway? Do you vote because you watch Fox News, or do you watch Fox News because you vote? Do you think anybody who would watch Fox News, who could sit and listen to Jesse Waters, doesn't vote? Do you think that's possible? Buddha Booty TT Boy says Trump 2024. Indeed. Oh, I think it looks great for him. Now, remember what I told you before. Let's do it right now, my friends. Let's go and let's look at RCP, Real Clear Politics. Remember this one? And let's look at the top right. And here we go. All Trump. RCP poll average. This is Trump-Harris. 5-way RCP average. Favorability ratings and RCP betting odds. I don't know about that, but it's Trump. Trump by 2 points, by 2, by 3, by 2.4. Battleground states. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia. Trump. Some less. I think Wisconsin, he's less than a point. Follow this. Next, look to the left and look at the titles of articles and ask yourself, Harris's Biden burden? Wasn't something missing from Biden's speech on dropping out? Coup upon coup upon coup. This is Victor Davis Hanson, who, by the way, he is one of the most important voices, but one of the most boring people, but he is absolutely spot on. Is a short campaign exactly what Harris needs? Which is very interesting too. That's another aspect. Does this timing work and inure to her benefit? DNC lied to voters and rigged the Democratic primaries. That's another kind of a subcategory of disdain. Biden deserves a no confidence vote. Harris delivers a jolt of adrenaline to progressives. Okay. Remember, listen to what the enemy is saying. The triumph of red states. Are Asian Americans voters shifting? It is so fascinating because we have now, and this is also important to note, we have so many avenues of review, and so much garbage. Our good friend, hang on a minute. That's not it. Okay. Let me see what we got here. So we have more people than ever discussing things at levels I never even thought. Whereas before, prior to this, when I was youngin', and you were too, maybe, we had 3 networks. We had maybe Time Magazine, Newsweek, the newspaper, Sunday morning. They actually still have Sunday shows. Sunday. They still don't get it. I've got a friend of mine, very good, who is in TV weather. He's actually, I said, who waits to hear the weather? What decade are you in? How many weather apps do you have? I know exactly. I've got these alerts, these this and that. I mean, you see, look, I know people want to maintain their thing, and I get it. And there's this it's funny. Mrs. Ellen and I today walked into a place. There's this lovely little place in the neighborhood. We walked into. What a great place! It was a bakery, and nice little vegan selection. We sat, had Americanos, met a great guy, beautiful. And I'm looking at this thing, and I'm saying pizza. It's flour, water, salt, and yeast. It's bread with sauce. Call it what you want. And yet, it's more prolific today than it ever was. And when I was growing up, we had Pizza Hut, Shakey's, Domino's later on. We didn't even have pizza. Was like, well, there was a little guy in the neighborhood. You're like, Luigi's. Did you ever have a little, when you were a kid, remember pizza? It was just like, it wasn't a big of a deal. Luigi. It was just a pizza. Now we've got what kind, and the Neapolitan, and in New York we have pizza tours, and there's deep dish in Chicago and Detroit, and there's the Neapolitan and the regular and the thin slice and the thick slice and you got that Cretan Portnoy who's actually reviewing pizzas, and is Abitz and New Haven better than what happened? It's pizza. It's pizza. It's bread with stuff on top of it, and it might be thick, it might be thin, it might be a little thick. But look, it turned into this complicated issue. I'm fascinated by it. And in terms of the money, you got a sack of flour. Forget the overhead, but just the production of this. Oh my God. By the way, another thing about food. One of the reasons why plant-based and vegan places haven't done that well, because what are you going to do with a carrot? But if I've got Kobe beef, I can charge through your eyes for this. I can charge, oh my God, fillets of tilapia, this and that, branzino, and I can charge big money. But vegetables, there's no money. That's why you don't see it. There's no. So what I'm saying is, look at what this is. Kamala Harris is this new kind of product. It's this new thing. In New York, and maybe you've heard this, but we have the best food trucks you've ever seen. And there is this, it's been around Mexican food, but it's birria. And it's Mexican tacos. It's almost like a stew-like meat. And it's so soppy that you get 2 taco shells. It's the biggest thing anybody's ever seen. Huge. It's incredible. And it hit with a bang. Some things are fast. Other things, well, here comes Kamala Harris. She's the new flavor, the new thing. And they're pushing it. And they're saying, it's great. Have you tried this? We've been through this in food. I don't know about you. We had this thing years ago called the cronut. When the cronut came, it was like one day, there was one guy who made it. And I think they had lines out the door. And I gotta go. We had here noodle shops. We had ramen noodles. Oh my God, you waited for pizza didn't go away. So is Kamala the cronut? Or is she the pizza? Do you find the more you get into her story and her message, the more complex it is? Like, this pizza stuff is, wow, I never realized it was this complicated. I mean, I can't believe it. There's American style and a deep dish, and there's a New York slice, and there's Detroit, which, by the way, New Haven Beach. They are with anyway. Or is it a cronut? Is it like now? Right now, it's big because they love her, and we're talking about her, and the news media are the PR agencies for the cronut. They're pushing it. And people are saying, okay, day 2, is this the same Kamala Harris? Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. The woman who said that, yeah, but she's different now. She's different now? Yeah, she's different. And she even couldn't get away. Why would anybody say, go on the RuPaul show? Who would ever tell her that? What are you doing? How are you? Remember, you tack left for the primaries, and then you tack towards the middle for the general. Well, she's got the bid. She's got to now talk to people and say, listen, I'm not some crazy lefty. I didn't screw up the border. That's why she's so worried about the borders are. That's why she doesn't like this left label. So what does she do? She goes on the RuPaul show. Most people look at that and say, this guy's a freak. I know the left doesn't. I know Hollywood doesn't. Look at these folks. Let me tell you about the big tech folks. They're revolutionaries. They're hardcore. They're nerdy. And there's a part of them that kind of believed initially that computers and everything could change things, could make things better, could make the world better. They're kind of idealistic. And they're people you have to kind of understand who they are. So I've given you a lot of stuff to think about, but I want you to grasp where this thing is going. It's really critical because this is far from over. And if Trump just keeps doing this, just don't, no hits, no runs, no errors, just straight across, keep going. Let all this stuff go crazy. Force her hand. I want her. Remember, if they ever do a debate, he's got to turn to her and say, do you believe that, and this is the language for the hardcore left. Do you believe that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza? Yes or no? If she says, no, I don't, that's it. That's it. Goodbye, left. No, goodbye. And if she says, yes, I do, I don't know what they're going to. Now she's a pawn for Iran. She just say, what are you talking about? Force her hand. Trump has been consistent. Trump will say, of course it's not genocide. Of course it's not apartheid. Of course it's not ethnic cleansing. No, I stand with Israel 100%. And that's it. And people always like consistency. Remember, I'm not arguing the merits of this. I'm telling you the reality. Force her hand. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Let's have Rashida Tlaib hold up her sign that says war criminal. Go ahead, do that. Do that. Force her hand. Force her hand and ask her, in what country would you want to see an American soldier dead defending NATO? Finland? Belarus? Where? Do you understand what this is about? What happens if Russia were to be pushed far enough and they institute or develop or introduce a tactical nuke, as they have said, as we did twice? Ours were strategic. What are you going to do about that? What's your take? What are you going to do? And don't give me this space is space stuff. We need specifics. You do realize, madam, that if you talk to any of these people, from Erdogan to Abu Mazen to anyone, Xi Jinping, and you even appear to come across as this logorrheic, logolalic, maundering, prattling, nonsense, gibberish spewing, you're done. You're finished. You do understand it. You do know you can't give that space lecture. You do know you can't go to Putin and tell him that the community bank is a bank in the community. You do know that, right? You can't, you know. Did you hear? My favorite is that Ukraine is a big company, is a big country, but Russia is bigger and they moved in, and that's not right. Or some, I mean, it defied. So let me tell you something, left, and let me tell you something, Democrats. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. All this stuff. If you think for 1 minute, if you think that this is some joke, if you think that if you're turning to Rob Reiner or Bette Midler, if you think this is the way to go, let me also tell you something. One of these days, I don't know what it's going to be, but one of these days, there's going to be some horrible event, some detonation of something. And they won't necessarily identify where it is. I don't want to go through the specifics, but if, God forbid, there was something detonated at Disney World, Las Vegas, the Lincoln Tunnel, Mall of America, whatever, the Super Bowl, this thing, and they didn't identify themselves, and America was under attack by lone wolf or whatever, what are you going to do? Who is going to be your Secretary of Defense? If we need to actually go into hostile areas, do we have the manpower? Are you going to unleash DEI? Oh, and one more thing. They hate when you say DEI. They call that racist. Make a note of that. Remember what they hate. Borders are. Anything about her prior life. The fact she's a liberal senator and DEI. That's what you mention all the time. She's just telling you. It's a submission hold. We have this thing rammed down our throat. Diversity, equity, inclusion. You had General Milley talk about how he wanted drag queens and Rula Lenskas and Charles Nelson Riley types to be manning the, M60. I mean, this is ridiculous. They actually suggested this. So you had no problem with that. So when I bring it up, I'm a racist or I'm a what? Because I'm bringing it up? No. Nice try. You can't have it both ways. You want DEI? Good. You're going to hear about DEI. That's what you're going to hear. Look at the ads. You ever seen the ads that Russia had for its military on Spetsnaz? And oh my God. It just looked like, what is this? Who are these people? And what do we have? We have the good ship Lollipop. We've got something from like, what is this? Some show tune. The sun will come up tomorrow. Enough. So good news. Okay, good news. So Buddha, thank you. George Lenz, thank you. Brizin Himura, Calypso Kins, Gracie loves George. Ipiokayama, thank you. KN, thank you. And Justine, Just Me, 77, thank you as well. Now, remember, follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Do me a favor, Lynn's Warriors. Follow her. And understand something right now. Do me a favor. This is not about collecting the latest compilation of Kamala's stupidity. Yes, we understand that. Yes. That's not it. This is serious business. I don't know when, but you're going to one day say that Joe Biden is going to turn over the reins to Kamala Harris. She is going to be the acting President. I want you to look at me now, and I want you to say something. Repeat after me. Say it. President Kamala Harris. Say it. Say it. Not President Sarah Palin, not President Dan Quayle, not President Kamala Harris. Say it. Get used to it. And when she accepts the nomination, by that time, I predict they would have already transitioned, and she will be the incumbent president. She will be the 46th president. No, 47th, excuse me. 47th president. She will be Kamala Harris. She is the acting president, not just somebody who, whatever, the president goes in and has a colonoscopy and they turn over the power from it. No. She's it. And Jill's in Paris, and Jill's done, and Jill, there will never be a divorce. You don't see a divorce. It's like the mafia. They don't divorce. But Jill and Biden are done. Nothing. She's at the top of her game. She tasted that Vogue life. She tasted that. She said, I'm not done with it. If you think I'm going to be nursemaid wiping this guy's keister in Wilmington or Rehoboth, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Oh, no. This world is, no, they love me. They're going to say, no, Jill, they don't. Oh, no. They love Dr. Jill. No, they don't, Jill. Yes, they do. Think I'm kidding? Michelle Obama couldn't wait to get out of there. Get me the hell out of here so she can become Oprah. Jill doesn't have that. Mark Wilson says, Charles Nelson Riley was a friend of mine, a wonderful man. Well, I loved him. He was also very, very talented in terms of Broadway and from the Match Game, and loved him. Remember, Charles Nelson Riley, Paul Lynde, Alan Suze, there were all these other folks. We were young, and we didn't know. We knew they were just kind of different, but nobody really cared. This is when sexuality meant nothing, at a time when we were supposedly, theoretically, less sophisticated. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Thanks so much for watching. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Thank you so much. God bless America. Yay! Yay! The Trump train is moving, but remember, look at it daily. Don't just think and just think, enough with these Kamala things. Yes, I know she said yes. I understand it. This is just amusing. It doesn't mean anything to people who are jumping on board. Just tell them, RuPaul? Is that what you want? If you do, it's Kamala Harris, RuPaul. Well, there you go. Think about what I'm saying. And don't forget Lynn's Warriors. Follow her on YouTube and X, or I can't call it X, Twitter. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Thank you so much. Be well. See you tomorrow. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you.